everyone and welcome back to Vlogmas. It's Vlogmas Day. One moment please, it is Vlogmas Day. Confused. 5.
That's not roasting.
And for this video, I'm going to be going book shopping. Why'd I do that? Like I'm gonna reveal my tits? What? Oh my god. So yeah, for today's video, I'm gonna go to the bookshop and buy a random book that I've never heard of. So I just want to go in, find something I don't know anything about, and, you know, read it. Buy it and read it. And so yeah, I'm gonna obviously look for a cover that catches my eye, a blurb that catches my eye, and hopefully I can find a book, again, that I really want to read, but also that I've never heard of. Which I think is a little bit hard when you're on BookTube. Sometimes just it can be difficult to find books that I haven't heard of before or even seen. But yeah, we'll just see how we go. So wish me luck, and hopefully there is something at this bookshop for me to find. Okay, so I am back from the bookshop and it was a success. I found something. Took me a little while, but honestly this is one of the first things that I looked at. I looked at a bunch of other things, but this one really caught my eye because of the cover, and the blurb sounds really good, and that is Ghost Music by Anu. I haven't heard of this. It could have been on someone's video and I don't remember, but I have zero memory of this. And I had no idea what it was about. The cover really caught my eye and I read the blurb and it sounded interesting. So for this vlog, I am going to be reading Ghost Music. So if you're like me and you don't know what this is about, it is about a character who has been really struggling with life. She is living in her apartment in Beijing. She's a music teacher, but she ends up giving her dreams up of being a concert pianist for her husband. But despite that, he will not have children, even though that's what she wants to do. And she must accommodate to her mother-in-law, and she ends up receiving some strange parcels, and her dreams become troubling and claustrophobic. In a still, silent room in a timeless house, can she find the notes she needs to make sense of all the pain and beauty in her life? So this just sounds like my kind of shit. So I'm pretty excited for this. This is gonna be really fun. It's a long time since I've just read a book I don't know anything at all about, or I don't know the author. I usually when I pick stuff up now, it's pretty intentional. I've heard about it. I've heard about the author, but this, nothing. I absolutely don't know anything about it. So I'm going in completely blind and I really hope that I enjoy it. you put it over your ear? If you didn't make fun of me, I wouldn't have to go through this. How's your book going, Tilly? I see you're reading that book. Is it good? Sorry. You're stuck with me. I know she's much cuter, and you'd all love to hear her thoughts on the book, but she's camera shy, so you're stuck with me. Because I'm not camera shy, because I'm obnoxious and annoying. Okay, so I have done some reading of Ghost Music. I feel like I'm a bit close. Oh, okay. This is as good as you're gonna get. Also, sorry I look terrible. I'm exhausted. I've been working a lot again. This is pretty much what I think I said it was before from the blurb. It's about this woman who kind of gave up on her dreams of becoming a famous... I can't think of the word. Why am I so dumb? Concert pianist. She marries this man and she wants to have children, but he keeps like changing the subject or saying he's not really ready to talk about it or saying he's too busy with work to have kids. And his mother ends up living with them, so she's now also living with her mother-in-law, and her husband also goes away to work a lot, so he's away sometimes for months on end. And there's this awkward, strained relationship between her and this mother-in-law, and also she keeps receiving these parcels filled with mushrooms, and she doesn't know why she keeps getting sent these mushrooms. And it gets to the point where they just, you know, start cooking the mushrooms and eating them because they're like, well, they're going to keep coming. And that's kind of what this is. And I'm having such a interesting experience with this. There was actually a line in this talking about something else, but it funnily enough summed up the way this is written and the actual just like way that I feel about this book perfectly, which was really cool. So it's talking about her father, who used to play the piano as well, and it's talking about the music that he played, and he actually wrote a song for her, and it's one that she often plays. And this was how she described the song. It's a simple composition, but when you listen to it more intently, you'll find a hidden depth. And that's kind of how I feel about this. The actual writing is quite simplistic and sometimes a bit clunky and disruptive in a way. Sometimes it just doesn't flow nicely. And at times I sort of feel like this isn't the best writing. But overall, this is like brilliant because I have a lot of emotions and it's so atmospheric, and I don't really know how it's doing that because again, when you just surface level think about it, the writing comes across quite bland and like it's not going to be able to capture something like this, but it somehow actually does. So like it feels simplistic, but it's actually like full of depth and very immersive and brilliant. So it's a really strange experience. There's also lots of really pretty lines in this, and I love books that just blow out lots of pretty lines, even if they seem really ridiculous. It's kind of my thing, and so this does that a lot. This character's very like introspective. She has a lot of really interesting thoughts, and I love reading those because again, I love the kind of book that will have quotes that when I was a teenager I would have written and put on my wall because I was so deep then. But I like when there's still a story at the same time. It's not just kind of only that, so this definitely has that going for it. And the thing with the mushrooms makes this so intriguing because you're just wondering what the fuck's going on, and I'm worried that I'll be let down with that. I'm not sure what's gonna happen there. So I'm on page 90, so I'm almost halfway through, so hopefully I'm not disappointed with that. But I really feel bad for the main character, but at the same time she's so frustrating to read about because it's like I feel bad for her, like her situation sucks, but at the same time I'm just like, oh my god, just fucking talk, just fucking speak your mind. And you know, she talks about how that's not who she is, but it's like, just fucking talk. Oh my god, like she literally has no life. She doesn't do anything for herself, and you know, this one thing that she's asking for, she's getting shut down constantly and she doesn't speak up. But like, I again also feel like really sorry for her and also kind of relate to her in a way because I definitely don't always speak up when I should, when it comes to, you know, standing up for myself. So I do kind of like understand her and again feel bad for her, but at the same time, oh my fucking god, woman, just open your fucking mouth. That does actually remind me that something really cool about this writing style is it's very conversational. Like this woman is sitting down telling us her story. Like, there's so many passages where she is aware in a way that she's the narrator. So she's saying things like, I didn't actually know this at the time, or things like, I wish I had, you know, thought about this then, and then this thing happened and I really felt this way. Like, she's telling us, which I think at times I wonder, like, is there too much telling in this? Because it does feel a little bit like telling too much at times, but I'm not really sure, because again, the overall effect this book has is so brilliant that I'm just not really sure how I feel at this stage. But yeah, I do like that it's very conversational, like she's just sitting down talking to us. Maybe I should read out some pretty lines. I want you to help me find the sound of being alive. I think that line's going to be really important. I feel like that's going to be a huge part of this book, so I tabbed it and I'm going to keep that in my mind. She has stripped the intricacies of human emotions down to their core, and she has accepted all of them, the bright as well as the dark. Maybe we all become children to our children once we're old, I thought. Working in aged care, I think about that every fucking day. Actually reminds me, there was another really cool line about elderly people's hands. Here. There was something alluring about an aging woman's hands, I thought, wary but resilient, weathered by the experiences of her years, by everything she had touched. They were a book without words. So yeah, scared but hopeful about this, and I hope that this woman just like speaks her mind, but also I wouldn't mind if she just went on like a rampaging killing episode. Wouldn't really mind that either. I literally don't have eyebrows. Like, if I don't draw in my eyebrows, they don't exist. So I have finished Ghost music. Also, I'm sorry that every clip has been filmed in this exact spot. I kind of moved the angle around a little bit, but it's still the exact same spot. So I have a lot of thoughts on this book. I don't even know where to start. This ended up being a lot more surreal than I was expecting from the blurb. This is definitely a surrealism book. It's got a lot of like kind of magical realism. A lot of it isn't really rooted in possibly reality, but there's really no explanation. It's just kind of like talking mushrooms, and we're not going to talk about it, which I can enjoy this sort of thing, but I like when there's like a point to it. I don't really like when books are just like weird shit's happening for the sake of weird shit, which is fine, but it's just not like my thing. Like, I read this year My Cat Yugoslavia, which was about this man who randomly had this like humanoid like cat that was talking. Like, it was like a cat, but it had like a human body in a way. It was really weird. And I felt like I could pick up on a lot of like themes with that, and I'm sure most of it went over my head, but I felt like there was a point and I could understand elements of it that were making commentary. Whereas some of the stuff in this either went over my head to an extent that I wasn't satisfied, or it didn't really have a point. So I'm sort of like caught between what I think this novel was trying to do and what actually happened, and I'm not sure if that's the novel or me just being an idiot, which normally that is the case. So I just feel like I wasn't completely satisfied at the end of this. I think I just wanted a little bit more, and at times it did feel a little bit aimless, and I was like, I just need this to pack more of a punch. And I'm not really sure again if that's just me being a dum-dum or it's the book. So I can't say this was the most satisfying book in the end, but I still did enjoy it. I could pick up on like a few things that I think the author was talking about. Like, I think it was sort of covering this woman having a massive existential emotional breakdown and kind of showing how you can't like jump into something like a marriage and expect to get everything you want if it hasn't been like clarified and talked about. It was like no one in this book knew how to talk to anybody, and it was so annoying. This book is about how when the mother-in-law stays with them, she finds out all this stuff about her husband, and I'm like, I just find it strange that you didn't have these conversations. Like, it wasn't even like he had lied. He just hadn't talked about it and she hadn't asked. So it was like, she was like, oh, I'd never thought about, like, and I know like withholding information is still lying, but it's not like she'd asked about it and he'd said. It was just like they didn't talk about it. And I'm like, how do you marry someone and not even think to like ask about this sort of stuff? You know? And it was just weird. And I was sort of like, I feel like this isn't working in my brain right now. It was sort of covering how she wanted to have children. You know, she'd given up this identity she'd had her entire life and she wanted to have children, but her husband didn't want to have kids. It wasn't something that he wanted due to the trauma associated with one of the things that we end up finding out about him. Like, fair enough, not everybody has to have children, but they should have talked about it. You know, that is something I feel like you would talk about before you just marry someone, is whether you both want to have kids or not. Like, I feel like that is a big thing to have not just talked about. So I just feel like I'm being too technical with this surrealist book, because I'm like, no, but like this doesn't make sense. And it's like, no, this is just a weird, whimsical surrealism story, or nothing's meant to make sense. Just listen to the talking mushroom. And I'm like, no, I can't think about the talking mushroom yet, because I'm still caught up on the fact that they didn't talk about whether they wanted to have kids before getting married. That's what I can't get my head around. I don't like the talking mushroom. I'm not even gonna get started with that. Okay. So, yeah, anyway, I went on a little bit of a tangent there. It sort of was like the dangers of just like relying heavily on another person to sustain your identity, and how you need to have a separate identity, or you've got nothing if things don't go the way that you want. So, yeah, it was kind of covering that. I don't know if you heard that, but someone was just going off their tits. I feel like there was something I wanted to say. I don't know. Like, it was good. I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. It was definitely thought-provoking. It wasn't boring at all. I was really intrigued. And I did really like how clever and whimsical and strange it was. I guess, wish that I was smarter to pick up on what was trying to be said here. Like, what was the symbolism with orange? There were so many bits with, like, orange. Things are being covered in this orange light or orange substance. Is orange, like, symbolism for not letting things go, and how you need to like brush the orange away and let go of the past so you can have a future, and how you need to talk things through and grieve so that you can then move on? And it's like the ghosty kind of elements to this were symbolism of like the people in this story who were like ghosts wandering through life because they weren't talking about things, actually figuring out what they wanted to do, who they are, and living for themselves. Is that what that was? I don't know. And again, don't even get me started on the talking mushroom. I don't even want to go there. I'm just going to say that I liked the talking mushroom, and we're going to leave it there. There was an element to this story with like this musician, and he disappeared, and he's been missing for many years. And there was like a plot line with him, and I don't really know what was going on with that as well. I kind of am a little bit confused. I think that there were a lot of elements with that, with music, but maybe it was saying like you can't put all your identity on one thing. So it was like all his purpose in life was music, and how that was her sole identity for so many years. And maybe it's saying like you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. Sorry. I always feel smart when I say that saying. But yeah, you shouldn't like rely so heavily on one thing, because it's not everything is forever, not everything can be relied upon, and your feelings will change, your abilities will change. And I think that that might be what I was talking about. I don't know. I'm just trying to sound smart here and failing. So I think I'm going to end this here. Am I happy that this was the random book that I picked in the bookshop? Yes, because the cover's beautiful. I enjoyed this. It was very thought-provoking. I think I'm going to think about it for a long time. And I feel like I'm never going to look at mushrooms the same. And funnily enough, last month I read Mexican Gothic, and I feel like I can't look at mushrooms the same way again after that. But you know how like you go for a walk and you like see mushrooms like growing in the grass, and you're like, oh, it's a mushroom, because like they're so cute. Now I'm going to be like, it's a the mushroom. And then I'll start talking to it and have a mental breakdown. Good time. It was fun. I definitely want to do more of these vlogs in the future, so let me know if you enjoyed this, because it was fun just like finding a book I'd never heard of and just reading it. And that is going to do it for Vlogmas Day, whatever the fuck today is. I can't remember. I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for Vlogmas. But until then, bye. I don't know if I mentioned, but this book smells incredible, and I feel so sad that I'm not reading it anymore because I won't be smelling it, and it smells so good. Like, can someone make a perfume of the smell of this book? I would love that.
Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas.